Most plays have an audio component as well. They may have an original score, they may have sound effects. We asked a composer about his process for creating music for a theatrical production.
I usually start with, as best I can, kind of an unattached read of the script, just to kind of take in the story. And then I usually choose a moment that is most meaningful for me. A lot of times that's not actually like a key plot point in the story itself, but it's just something that I think is cool or could be a cool musical moment. Because once you build your vocabulary, once you choose what tools you're going to use, put them in your toolbox, then that gives you somewhere to go. Because if you're just starting with a purely blank page, that can be really intimidating and actually kind of unfocused, if you will, if you have everything at your disposal. So I try to pick that favorite moment, something that you really enjoy and can respond to, and create a base set of rules to play with for the rest of it, and that makes the rest of the score much easier. So I'll usually create that one cue, whatever it is, and then I'll start at the beginning and just work my way through chronologically. And then of course in theater, it's sort of like a bricks and mortar kind of thing where there's like bricks of music, musical statements, musical phrases, but then there has to be this mortar, this glue that pieces them all together so that we're always following the action and just kind of thinking about how those things are going to interact with each other and how this cue is going to hand off to this cue to try to make it as cohesive and smooth as possible. One thing I love about theater is its volatility, and sometimes it's used as a criticism that you go and see theater once and then it can't be replicated. It sort of like only lives in this moment and then it's gone forever. With sound design and with music, in theater, I think that's kind of a fun part of the challenge, is that it needs to be adaptive in a way to follow the pace of the action, to support, the normal design things like support the emotional content, the arc of the story, all that stuff, but also all the fun things that you can plan in the background to be adaptive and to be breathing and present in the space, which is hard to do with recorded sound. So yeah, I think that's the excitement of it, is how do you keep your audience in the moment? How do you give the actors and the other designers and stuff some fun stuff to respond to while trying to enrich the experience in the story the best way that you can. Music can have a life after the show closes. Of course, with a play, we have video recordings and photos and memories and all of those things, but it's not the same sort of life as music can have after a show. Maybe your music can be used in a future production. With some music that I've written in the past and what I'm gonna do for Snow Queen as well, like I'm gonna make a soundtrack version of it and put that out there, see what happens, just like you love for people to listen to what you create, and it's that simple. So it's a little bit different from that design perspective. Sound design and music design is unique because it is so much more, I think, of a universal language than other design disciplines. Everybody's got an opinion about music. Everybody has a taste in music. I would say most people don't have a taste in lighting palettes, but everybody does for music. And so I think the universality of that is an interesting thing to play with. And another thing I enjoy talking to the students about is, when do you play to expectations and when do you play against expectations? And for the most part, you don't want to play against so often that your music choices just seem jarring or esoteric. One song that you heard when you got dumped back in high school or whatever is going to mean something totally different for somebody else who got dumped in high school. And so you don't want to make that choice and put that into a play as the breakup song, because it only means something to you. And so really kind of balancing what could potentially mean something for either everybody or most of the people, while still bringing your own voice and your own taste to it, is as your charge as a designer. And so it's an interesting balance to try to find that individuality versus universality. And I think it really is exclusive to music and sound. And sound too, is such a omnipresent environment. Like everywhere that you are, you're surrounded by sound, you're surrounded by naturalistic sound, and playing against that on stage is really fun because you can decide what you want to be naturalistic and what you want enhanced.